Tuesday, February 6th. I'm Rim.
And I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, we at least nominally talk about video game difficulty.
Let's do this.
Man, I was finally getting things done in my life. I had free time. I was reading again. I got a book I'm reading. My finances were almost all together. Everything was great. And then Scott had to give me the second Phoenix Wright game.
Aha, Phoenix Wright. It trumps all.
Yeah, except luckily I'll probably be done with it by tomorrow, and then I can get back to my real life.
I still got the Hotel Dusk over here, but I haven't even started playing it because I'm still playing your stupid Portrait of Ruin.
Hey, you didn't have to borrow it from me. That was entirely your decision. I haven't even beaten that game yet.
It's not as good as the other cat. What was it? The DS one, the first DS one.
Dawn of Sorrow.
Yeah, right.
Dawn of Sorrow is actually my favorite non-Simon's Quest Castlevania game so far.
I don't know. I still got to play some of the other ones. So yeah, I can't really make a judgment because there's just so many of them.
I've seen the gameplay and I've talked to people who've played them, and I think Castlevania DS is pretty much the next logical step in that kind of game.
Yeah.
Portrait of Ruin is this parallel dead-end road that...
Yeah, Portrait of Ruin sort of takes like 2 steps forward and 3 steps back. You know, they get rid of some bits I didn't like the soul collecting and the drawing on the screen to seal the bosses.
See, I actually kind of like the drawing on the screen to seal the bosses. I wish there had been more of that in the game.
Well, I didn't like the way it was done. It could have been used in a better fashion.
I wish you could have drawn different kinds of seals and done different things and used them outside of just bosses or something.
Yeah, something like that. Like, hey, if you pause the game and you can draw a seal to do something.
No, not even pause the game, real time.
No, that sucks because if I'm drawing a symbol, I can't also control the stupid game at the same time.
Yeah, you know what? Now you know how that wizard felt trying to cast a spell while there's a fighter right there trying to hit him.
That's right. Bad, which makes it sucks. No, but I don't know. I'm probably going to beat it. And right now I'm going back with some facts to get a bunch of arbitrary, annoying secrets that there's no way you could possibly know about without a fact.
Yeah, I mean, the first DS... I played that one, and I found like 90% of the secrets on my own. Maybe 95.
I found more than 90% of the secrets. The problem is the stupid quest mechanic where you need that extra 10% of the secrets.
See, I didn't bother. Once I got the Royal Sword, I just stopped doing quests.
Yeah, this guy says, go fight the dodo. And I'm like, where the hell is the dodo?
Well, see, now you got to
There's no way I could possibly know where the dodo is without cheating.
See, you got to think about it. Like, for example, in Castlevania DS, right? The original, when you want to get the Yeti, the abominable snowman.
Yeah, there was actually a little bit of hinting because it's in an area that stood out like a sore thumb. This game, there's a lot of different areas, and you traverse them pretty quickly.
Yeah, you know what, though?
And they don't really stand out. There's a whole lot of repeating terrain going on.
However, I would note that there's actually a lot there, and the game's not as arbitrary as you make it out to be.
It's not super arbitrary, but it's pretty...
Well, the evidence I put forth is that I lent you the game, and aside from bitching about everything else, like, what do you mean I have a partner? What do you mean?
Well, I knew I had the partner, but I didn't want to have to use the partner, which is,
Yeah, I really want to play that DDR game, but I don't want to move my feet.
That's right.
But that one quest, get me some ground beef, go to the butcher, and didn't you just think, hey, I'll go to that place where all that meat was hanging in the
I hadn't
city.
been to the place where the meat was hanging. He said, go to the butcher shop, and I'm like, where is there a butcher shop? There's only one shop in this game, and it's right behind you.
So you got to think a little bit more laterally, like, oh, a butcher shop, eh? Well, there's a butcher shop.
I think basically what it is the game rewards you if you go slowly and pay lots of attention to everything.
I didn't pay a lot of attention. I wandered into that room looking for secrets because, it's a Metroid game, basically. You go everywhere at least once. Yeah. And in that room, there was a bunch of meat hanging from sticks. When I hit that meat, it flew around. It was obviously a something here.
I didn't go to that room. I never had the swinging meat. So how was I supposed to remember that?
Wait a minute. How would you have not gone to that room?
I didn't. I just turned to the right and set it to the left.
So you completed that whole place and left without going to that one area?
I guess I passed through it, but I didn't go. The meat is actually to the left. You don't have to go over there to get to the boss.
Yeah, but if you...
I just burn straight for the boss. I don't stop and, poke anything that isn't obvious.
I poke everything. I mean, that piano, luckily I looked on GameFAQs right away in DS and found out that the piano doesn't do anything. Otherwise, I probably would have sat there for a day playing every single song I know.
Meanwhile, there's a piano in the stupid, in some room somewhere. I did find a piano, and I found a cross, and there's no quest for those yet. So I'm like, I want to know what to do with those, but you didn't give me the quest.
Yeah, the quests, I think, were a good idea. They just could have been done a lot better than they were.
It could have been.
Like, the idea is solid. It adds a lot to the game. It's just the way they did, the quests all come down to have 3 particular random items on you.
Yeah, those are the ones that really get me. Right now, I have 2 quests, right? One of the quests says, wear the thick glasses. I'm like, I sold the thick glasses before you gave me this quest.
Wait.
Now there's no way for me to get the thick glasses again.
Now, see, I knew when I got all these items in the game, I thought, I'll bet some of these are going to be for quests, because the quests looked like they were going in that direction. So I kept...
Yeah, I was just supposed to know.
Yeah, it seemed obvious.
That's some random crap item that is worth a lot of money if I sell it, but doesn't increase my stats at all, is going to be useful for a quest when never has there been a quest requiring an item yet.
The quests that require items are pretty early on in the list of quests.
I hadn't really done any quests at that point. I had done like
Scott,
3.
video game logic. If you find an item that doesn't appear to have
video
any
game
use,
logic. Hey, this guy is selling items and there's no way to get money. I should sell all these extra useless items I've got.
What are you talking about? I had practically infinite money just from walking around.
I barely have any money.
Did you buy healing potions?
A few.
That's your problem.
Even so, I didn't buy that many. I mostly use the food that I find lying around.
See, I save all the food too.
How the hell do you heal?
I don't get hit.
You gotta get hit sometime.
Nah, I learned how to not get hit, and I use my partner to do stuff for me.
I use the partner sometimes now, but only when I have to, and it's really it's a lot more fun if I just go straight through the game. If I actually was careful enough to just not get hit instead of burning through the game, it wouldn't be worth playing. It would take so long.
So you want the game to be easy, so you can just burn through it without having to avoid.
I don't want to be easy. I just don't want it to take so goddamn long.
It doesn't take that long.
It doesn't. I burned right through it.
Even if you don't, I mean, I don't get hit. I still burn through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Game's not that hard. The only annoying part was the sanctuary spell bit.
That was the least annoying part.
Yeah, that's because you already read how to do it and listened to me say how I did it and listened to everyone else on the internet.
I think the game just suffers from a few problems. Whatever.
See, I think it suffers from a different set of problems.
It has a lot of problems.
Yeah. So, in the news, totally unrelated to Castlevania, it looks like among all the other awesome games that are hitting the Wii, we're going to get Dance Dance Revolution on the Wii.
There's a big surprise.
Actually, it kind of was. I didn't really expect this. I always kind of hoped this. Now, my forlorn hope is Guitar Heroes. Guitar Heroes. Guitar fucking Heroes.
But just buy a PS2.
Yeah, but I want it on the Wii. I want a guitar that I stick a Wiimote into, or a guitar that just connects Bluetoothly to the Wii, or something awesome like that.
It's not that much more awesome.
I don't want a wire.
The wire on the guitar has never restricted me, so it's not a problem.
Well, I guess I got to deal with the fact that if I were playing a real guitar...
As long as the wire doesn't come out the top of the guitar.
But if I was rocking out on a real guitar, there'd be a wire there. At least
one. That is
one.
true. And the wire comes out of the same place on the guitar controller that a real guitar would have the wire coming out.
Yeah. Now, I'm real hit or miss on this DDR on the Wii, because it's not just DDR. And we don't know much about it yet. But one, I get the impression that it's going to be an entirely new soundtrack, meaning none of the old good songs.
Oh, I hate it when they do that. There's really no reason other than the cost of licensing.
Oh, you mean the primary reason?
Yeah, that they put every DDR song ever in one DDR game. All of them.
Well, it'd take multiple discs.
That's fine. I'll switch them up.
The problem is that most of those songs were never licensed in America. And in fact, none of those DDR machines are licensed to be in America. They're all here illegally.
Isn't it awesome?
Yeah, well, recently, it seems like they've been accommodating the U.S. a lot more. But I remember back in like the 4th mix, 5th mix days, those machines would, before you started, every time they would say in English, "This game not licensed for use in America. You're breaking the law, you asshole."
Yeah, and they expected us to... Why did they even give us shit DDR USA?
DDR USA was the first DDR machine I ever played on.
They are the assholes, if you ask me.
That game had like 8 songs.
Why are these people pirating our machine? Maybe it's because we're not supplying their demand.
The thing is, they're not really... The problem isn't with Konami. They know these things are going over to the U.S. They ship them here. It's just kind of this... the songs aren't licensed to be out in the US. They weren't licensed for use in this way in foreign countries. And it would cost so much money to license them that no one's going to do it. But if you just get this machine over here, it's all in English anyway. It's not like you're going to have a problem. And thus, DDR just came to America regardless, and it's just kind of a wink and a nudge.
Yep.
But also, it makes use of the Wiimote.
How are you going to use the Wiimote with DDR?
How do you think you're going to use the Wiimote with DDR? You're going to be like left, right, left, left, up.
Up.
Up, not forward up, but up. It'll do things like it'll show an icon that says shake the Wiimote here on the beat. Now, actually, this could be cool if, one, it's optional and every song can be played without it and doesn't suffer from it. Two, if they do it well. And three, if they do it sparingly. Or if they only make like special modes where you do it. Because some of these multiplayer modes look cool where you've got a bunch of people playing. There's actually the kicker.
Having this in the main mode would be like having the yelling in Bomberman be part of the main game as opposed to the optional mode.
Yeah, they'd better at least have the song. Like the songs should all have light, medium, heavy, or light, trick, maniac, and then I don't know, Wiimote maniac, or some separate whatever thing. Kind of like with those extra arrows modes in like fourth mix.
All they need to do is put the Wiimote on and off in the secret options menu.
Oh, the secret options menu that everyone knows about.
That's right. A secret options menu that even modern DDR machines tell you how to get to it.
But I said a bunch of people because the one awesome thing is that this version of DDR looks like it's going to support 4 simultaneous players.
I think that is the greatest thing about it. The problem is you're going to need a sturdy floor to support that, or you're going to have to play in your basement or garage or something.
See, the thing is, though, I've never until now lived in a house that didn't have a sturdy enough floor to have...
Let's see. In Colony, we played in the basement.
Yep, and you know what? If we'd lived upstairs, we could have played it because those buildings were sturdy.
They were.
I mean, what did it take? It took our upstairs neighbors having a knockdown, drag them out, they live fight for us to hear them banging around.
Yep. Oh, well.
Yeah, but I mean, all my houses just seem to do it. I think the house we live in just has really thin floors.
Yeah, well, once we get a basement, we'll be all
Actually,
set.
you know what probably really does it? The fact that the living room is one gigantic room with no structural support anywhere in it. And directly above that, my bedroom is one giant room of the exact same size with no structural support anywhere in it.
Yeah, there's nothing under yeah.
Yeah. Because if we play in the hallway, it works, but we're not going to put a video game system in the hallway. That's just stupid.
Or outside.
Yeah,
It'll get ruined.
We can tilt the TV and put our pads on the back deck and play through the sliding door.
That's a bad idea.
I might do that in the summer.
You're crazy.
Of course, I said I might do it last year, and I didn't. But still, 4 players at the same time solves almost every problem I ever had with DDR.
It actually gives home DDR an advantage over arcade DDR, and it makes DDR tournaments more efficient.
Yeah, not only that, but just the fun. I mean, I remember when we'd play DDR with all our friends, it'd always be 2 people playing, and, 2 or 3 other people wanting to play. And we'd all have to take turns. Now, 4 people playing at a time, a lot more people get to play. A lot more people have fun. We get a lot more DDR in.
I mean, like, if we go to an arcade, it'll be 2 people over here, 2 people over there when there's multiple machines. But 4 on the same machine is different than 2 machines with 2 each. It's a lot better, actually, if you ask me.
Yeah, I'd agree. It also, in terms of you got a bunch of people, there seems to be a kind of mode where, say, you all have to agree on a move, like put the Wiimote to the right or put the Wiimote up. And you all have to do the same move whenever the Wiimote icon comes up. And that's why I'd imagine the icon doesn't come up often, or you could turn it off, hopefully. So then, you all agree on a move, and then, you're doing your dance in unison, and then you all have to, like, point up or point disco in unison.
Mm-hmm.
If done well...
How come DDR Wii can support 4 Wiimotes at once and WarioWare can't?
Because the people who made WarioWare are sadistic assholes who want to ruin everything good in the world. And Konami is slightly less sadistic.
Uh-huh. All right.
I don't know. I have such high hopes for this, but I had such high hopes for WarioWare. And the 4-player thing looks awesome, but I'm leery of this entirely new song set, especially since DDR 9th Mix has an amazing song set.
It also, it looks like these Wii dance pads are probably going to be the same as the GameCube ones. This demo version they were playing was using the GameCube ports with Mario DDR dance pads.
Yeah, if I can't use a Red Octane ignition pad, there's no reason in the world to ever give this a second look.
Yep.
I mean, good God.
I'm done with those crap pads.
God,
forever.
how much money? We probably spent more money on those crap pads. We could have just bought hard pads.
We spent $40 on those things.
Yeah, 40
Because I
bucks.
bought one for 20, and then I bought another one for 20.
We went, our group of friends, if we include Luke and all them too, probably went through like 20 or 30 of those things in the course of our lives.
Not that many.
The whole group, everyone at RIT who played DDR.
Maybe 15.
I went through 5.
You didn't go through 5.
Yes, I did, because I had 2 pads that I bought that summer after our freshman year when I bought DDR, and I wore 2 of them out in my house over the course of July and August alone.
What?
Yeah. And I bought 2 more before I came to RIT, and I wore one out, and then you eventually wore mine out. I repaired 2 of them. In fact, I took a bunch of Luke's busted ones and repaired them.
Yeah.
Remember I used to cut them open in the
Anyway,
bag?
it wasn't 20 pads.
I don't know. If you count everyone we knew who played DDR,
No.
yeah.
No, it's a bit of an exaggeration.
I don't know. It might not have been. I don't think so.
You're crazy. Anyway, we still used a lot of those things. They were cheap. They were $20, and they disintegrated after a few months of playing.
Yeah, well, the thing is, they were $20 or more, give or take, plus shipping from eBay. Because that was the only place you could get them.
At least in those days. Now every freaking store has one, and they're all the same crap.
Yeah, but really, just get an ignition pad. There's no reason to use anything else, unless you can get a real hard pad.
Yep, or an arcade machine.
Only 20 grand?
Yeah, that's it.
I don't need
Sometimes you can get them for less. Amazon's got a deal. So the University of Rochester. Hey, isn't that near where we went to school, but not where we went to school?
Why, yes, in a radio voice it is.
Well, they do actual science there. Like, I remember they did some study about some, like, light-based computing or something. I don't remember. But anyway, they did a study recently that has been completed where they figured out that playing action video games, specifically Unreal Tournament, can improve your vision. Now, you might think, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Wouldn't staring at a screen hurt your eyes? Well, it really doesn't improve your vision in the eye department. It improves your vision in the brain department.
Take that, video game haters.
That's right. And apparently what they did is they had some people play Tetris, and they had some people play Unreal Tournament for like an hour a day, and they gave them a bunch of eye tests involving standard eye charts, this thing where there's 2 T's, and the top T is upside right, and the bottom T is upside down, and there's a T in the middle, and you have to tell whether the T in the middle is upside right or upside down, and it can trick your eye from distances, and you won't be able to tell. And the people who played Unreal Tournament had much better scores on these tests over time, and the people playing Tetris did not. And they're pretty sure that playing action video games like Unreal Tournament trains your brain, sort of like exercising the optical parts of your brain.
I think that's been fairly well known. I mean, there were a lot of studies in the past about, if they had doctors play certain kinds of video games before they performed surgery, they performed the surgeries better, or could do surgery.
Well, that has to do with manual dexterity and such.
Yeah, but all these things in general. Obviously, playing video games is not the entirely passive thing that a lot of people make it out to be. Watching TV is mostly passive. But playing a video game, you have to interact with the world and solve problems.
Yeah. You have to use some part of your brain to play a video game, even if you're not using your physical muscles so much. And whatever part of the brain you're using is getting some exercise and will probably be improved because of it, even if it is the eye part of the brain.
Yes, that part of my brain that tells me that if I find a rooster-shaped key, I can stick it into a rooster-shaped hole is probably gigantic.
Oh my God, that explains that lump.
So for anyone who listens to, I don't know, Just Tuesdays or any combination of Geeknights nights that does not include Monday, I'd recommend you go back and at least watch my thing of the day from yesterday. Because this week, I've thrown down, my dukes are up, I have my own theme week, and we'll see if Scott can top my theme next week.
We'll see. I'm coming up with some ideas of a theme for next week.
Yeah, well, for those of you also who are unaware, my theme this week, for various reasons, is titled simply Hitler Was Born to Be Alive. I'm sure you all at least hopefully saw yesterday's thing of the day, which was in fact Hitler Born to Be Alive. Tonight, my thing is something very much related to that. It is a music video done to a techno remix of that song. However, it is not about Hitler. It is about...
It's not? I thought that was Hitler's childhood.
Nah, if anything, Hitler was that bully.
Oh, okay.
Now, it's one of those cheesy videos. The best way to describe it is take Napoleon Dynamite and distill it into the plot line that ends with him dancing on stage.
Mm-hmm.
The plot of this thing of the day is basically dancing will solve all of your problems and make you awesome. And of course,
I can't believe people need to be taught that lesson.
I mean, that's the solid truth of life. Dancing can solve any problem. I mean, Pol Pot's marching in, killing people left and right. If everyone just come together and gotten down, that would have been the end of Pol Pot.
Exactly.
Hitler couldn't have done anything against the electric slide.
Dancing rules, and the only people who didn't like disco were people who couldn't dance.
Yeah, I really wish disco would come back.
All right.
Yeah, but watch this video. It might seem cheesy. Bear with it. It is worth it for the payoff in the end, especially when the real breakdancers come out.
Now, here is a thing of the day that's kind of scary and kind of weird.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if this is from anything. It might be from Digimon or one of those types of things that I don't pay attention to. It's a DS game holder. It appears, though, that it can only hold one DS game. It might be able to hold more, but it appears that it can only hold one.
How much larger is it than a single DS game?
Quite larger, because it is also some sort of retractable toy sword. If you look over here.
Wow.
It would take up your entire pocket, if not more.
To use a phrase I haven't used in a while, God damn!
It comes in two varieties also. The blue variety, blue and yellow and white, and the black and red and white. The blue, yellow, and white one says on it, Wind Liger. And there's a picture of what I must assume is the head of a wind liger.
As opposed to a fire Tygon?
No, the black and red one says Shadow Wyvern.
Ooh, I like wyverns a lot.
Yeah. I don't know who the hell would buy this. There are much more efficient ways to hold your DS games, like Altoids tins, and what else did that guy...
Actually, I gotta say, I'm very happy with the official Nintendo DS Caddy.
Yeah?
It holds all my DS games that I'm playing at the moment very well, and I don't carry around all the ones I'm not playing at the moment. It also has room for GBA games and all that, and I got it on sale because the Circuit City lady screwed up and scanned in the wrong barcode.
Ooh, awesome. Yeah, this is just kind of weird. It's like, okay, I could understand, this would be cool if maybe it hold a whole mess of DS games. You'd be like, aha, I hold all my DS games in a toy sword, haha. But I don't know, man. Who the hell would buy this and why? I don't get it.
I don't know, 12-year-olds?
You got to be less than 12, man. This is for 8-year-olds, for sure.
So, a while ago, I was bitching about a certain point in Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, and then for a conversation happened in the forums, which basically led us to a discussion about video game difficulty, and we decided that would probably be a good topic for the show.
Yeah. There's a lot of different things to say about video game difficulty. I mean, like, have games really gotten easier over the years? Have they gotten harder? Some video games are harder in different ways than others. It's quite more complex than it first appears to be.
Yep. And I guess I'll start just to kind of show how I want this conversation to go, and also to defend myself, because I didn't really make myself clear when I bitched about that one sanctuary spell thing in Portrait of Ruin. The rest of the game was, it was difficult as insofar as a game like that can be, but it was actually pretty easy. But the thing is, the whole game was one kind of difficulty. And then I get to the sanctuary spell, and I was suddenly presented with an entirely different kind of difficulty, the likes of which, while I could beat, I was not prepared for and not really particularly looking forward to deal with.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing you gotta examine when looking at the difficulty of any video game is what skill is the game testing?
Yeah, Lolo is a good example. Or Lolo 1 and Lolo 2, mostly Lolo 1, are straight-up puzzle games. They're testing your logical ability to make decisions, to solve puzzles, to move a little guy around. There wasn't so much temporal, time-based stuff. You didn't have to... there were occasional puzzles where you might have to time something in that you have to run away from something, or if you put the things right, then you have to run away from the one guy. But it was mostly a infinite time, figure the puzzle out game.
Yep, you figure out the puzzle, then as soon as you've figured it out in your brain, you've solved it, executing it is not a problem. You just push the buttons. It's not hard to push the buttons. It's obvious and simple. It's not testing your reflexes. Whereas, I don't know, a fighting game like Street Fighter, pretty much just tested your reflexes and reactions and, your mastery of manual dexterity of pushing certain buttons and things. There's no puzzle solving, there's no sitting and thinking, a completely different kind of difficulty.
Now, those are both in and of themselves great. One of the problems I always run into is when a game has one kind of difficulty, and I'm going along with it, and I like that, and I'm ready for it. I know, intrinsically how this game's going to roll. And then suddenly, out of the blue, the game will throw at you a different kind of difficulty that has not had any precedent in the game. My example is Lolo 3. There were puzzles in Lolo 3 that were somewhat random and time-dependent, where the only way to beat them was to get, a randomly moving guy to stop at a specific spot by bumping into him. So you had to wait and time it and all this timing-based stuff that was totally out of place for what should be just a puzzle-solving game. And if the game had been that from the start, at least I would have known it was coming. I would have expected it. I would have dealt with it. But it wasn't the kind of difficulty I wanted. If I wanted that kind of difficulty, I would have played a different game. I wanted a puzzle game. And that is when I stopped playing Lolo 3 and said, fuck this, and played Lolo 2 again.
Yep. There are plenty of games out there that do have multiple kinds of difficulty, yet do not suck. Look at something like a Metroid. It's got the exploration, puzzly, how do I get through here, where do I go difficulty, and it also has the shoot the bad guy, don't get hit difficulty, combined at once, without causing you trouble because you're dealing with both of them all the time, pretty much.
Yep,
it's not like Metroid is an exploration game, and then suddenly at the end of the game there's a terrible boss where you have to shoot really accurately, and it sucks.
Yeah, it'd be like if I was playing Aerobiz, and the game's just, I buy my airplanes, and I buy my stock, and I talk to my board of directors. I love that game. And then suddenly, 9/11 happens, and now I'm a fireman in a first-person shooter trying to put out some fires.
Yeah, or, what's the game? ActRaiser?
Oh my god. Thing is, ActRaiser was a brilliant game.
It was brilliant.
I mean, what genius thought of that? They take the kind of game I love, build cities and mess with people. A minor, simple sim game. Add into that exploration, trying to find stuff on the map. Add into that side-scrolling with a sword.
Side-scrolling with a sword really doesn't fit.
The thing is, it was okay, and I enjoyed it, and I liked ActRaiser a lot, both the city thing and the side-scrolling, even though the side-scrolling was really weak compared to the city, and the city part was infinitely better. And then when I heard ActRaiser 2 was coming, I thought, oh, hot damn, they're going to fix their mistake and make either the side-scrolling better or make it just the city. I don't know if any of you played ActRaiser 2, but it's literally just the side-scrolling and nothing more. I almost cried when I found that out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know. I rented the game expecting something awesome, and I was so sad because my parents wouldn't let me rent another game.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, so I didn't even play it. I just moped around. I took the game back in 3 days.
Oh, man. That's a sad sight. No, but, different skills being tested by the game aren't really a big deal, It's really a matter of preference,
Yeah.
It's like, I like shmups. I like reactions and dodging and pushing buttons a lot. Or I like civilization games. I take a lot of time, I think about stuff, and I micromanage a lot of things, And it's basically, what type of skill are you good at? What do you like doing? Is not really a big difference. Some things are obviously harder for some people than others. My mom can't play a fighting game, but my mom can probably play WarioWare.
Yep, or case in point, I suck at shmups, as Scott can attest. If Scott's playing a shmup...
I also suck compared to the awesome people, but I play them enough that I'm pretty good.
I suck compared to Scott. I never even beat Gradius 3.
Yeah, I'm in that class of shmup players where, I have the standard set of, memory reflex reactions to what goes on the screen, but as soon as the game, ramps up, I have to start memorizing and such.
But yet at the same time, Scott can't play those Gemfire style bunch of numbers on the board, moving troops around.
That's just because I probably could play them. It's just I really don't like reading all those numbers, and I don't want to have to pay attention to them. I ignore them, and I just want it to be,
But
I can't deal with it.
What do you want it to be? Because that's
a
all
different
that game
game. I don't like those games.
Yep, it's like Gemfire would be a lot better if it was actually Mario World.
That's right. It would be, because Mario World is awesome and Gemfire sucks.
Yeah. I got you to play Aerobiz a couple times, though you hated every second of it.
The only numbers I paid attention to in Aerobiz were how much is it going to cost me to do this and how much money am I going to get from it.
And that's why your airline went out of business and the Philippines went underserved for a number of years before I finally stepped in with cheap, affordable air travel.
Yeah.
This is more Rim talks about Aerobiz than anything.
All right. So, obviously, whatever skill a game tests, sometimes it tests it more. You know, for example, let's see. Gradius 1 is a relatively easy shmup game. I mean, it's not the easiest, but it's pretty easy. Ikaruga is quite a bit more difficult.
Yeah, but Ikaruga's, I mean, Dave from Dave and Joel said this, and I kind of agree with this. It's almost not a shmup. It's like this other class of game.
It is, because it does sort of test your memory more than it tests your shmup abilities.
Don't water that down with sort of. Ikaruga is DDR for your fingers.
Kind of. But, I don't know. G Darius is more difficult than Gradius 1. You know, or R-Type. R-Type is more difficult than Gradius tends to be.
Yeah, well, it depends on the R-Type.
R-Type 3 is more difficult than Gradius 3.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Well, Gradius 3 was pretty easy.
But they're both testing the same skill set.
Yeah.
You know? Or Mortal Kombat, no, I don't know if that's more difficult.
I guess it's just the only thing that bothers me when it comes to that is when a game tests a skill out of place or out of character for the game or in a way that is annoying or, you know, anything like that. Any game that just knocks you for a loop and it isn't an interesting loop. Of course, then there's all the different I mean, you might hear this phrase from pretty much people our age, like our whole generation, Nintendo hard. And that doesn't really apply to modern games. It really only applies to NES and SNES games.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, it wasn't just that games, you know, were difficult. I mean, there are some difficult games now. It was that games punished you. You had to start over all the time. Like Ninja Gaiden. All right, it's Ninja Gaiden. You play level 1, you play level 2. It's like, dude, I got to level 3, and then I died. Well, now I'm back at level 1 again. You basically had to master the game from beginning to end, and you played the beginning parts a bajillion times, and the end parts you only played once or twice because you hardly ever got there. Whereas nowadays, you play all parts of a game equally, and the difficulty gradually increases instead of being constantly killing you all over the place.
Not only that, but it seems like a lot of modern games, I'm not saying this is a good or a bad thing, but there's been a shift toward this idea that completing the game is a foregone conclusion. Like you play, even Super Mario World had this, not problem, I don't want to call it a problem, but this idea where you basically have infinite lives, infinite continue, whatever, you can just keep playing forever, and you're eventually going to beat the game if you put in the requisite effort and time. And there's no worry of, am I going to beat it or am I going to fail? The only way to fail is to just stop playing the game.
Yeah, I mean, your skill does have to increase in order to beat the game because the later levels are harder than the earlier levels, but you're not forced to play the early levels over and over again and master beating them, you know, in a shorter and shorter amount of time and getting, you know, no one cares if you get more points when you beat the game, or no one cares if you beat the game better or faster than anyone else, except for people who go for the speed runs. But those guys are using machines and they're not doing it themselves.
Well, no, remember, a lot of speedrunners try to do it themselves.
Some of them.
They actually have, like, they call those other things machine-assisted or tool-assisted.
Yeah,
whatever.
Most of the ones I see are machine-assisted.
I don't care. I just, you know why? Because the ones where people do them usually aren't interesting.
That's right. At least not interesting to watch. They're just interesting to give respect to the person.
Yeah. Because I remember watching those two guys race in Mario 1. That was fantastic.
Yeah. But as a result of these games that, you know, pretty much assume that you're going to beat it, sort of like watching a movie, you're assumed to see the ending at some point, you know, the games don't punish you. They just keep letting you play.
So as a result, it's weird that, like, Princess Peach, near the end of the game, like, say you screw up a boss or something and you die. You just keep trying it again and again and again and again. So there's no kind of penalty for dying, so you can almost brute force the game all the way through and just keep playing, just keep playing, and you're gonna win. And also,
unless you're really dumb.
Yeah.
You'd have to be really dumb.
The other interesting thing is that this kind of takes away one aspect of old games, which was that magical mystery of getting to hard-to-get places or rare places or weird places.
Yeah, because, I mean, in Mario World, right, I can go to any level I want at any time. Getting to the Star World is no big deal because I can, you know, once I find out where it is, I can go there. But imagine if you played a game straight through from beginning to end with no saving or stopping. You would have to know where the Star World is, and you might only have, like, a very small chance of getting it. And if you get it, holy crap. Like Mario 3.
I was just about to bring up Mario 3.
You get the white ship. holy crap, you got the white ship. You know how hard that is? You only get one chance at it, like, per world, and you have to get a whole bunch of coins in a very small amount of time and under very extremely strict circumstances. And if you mess up, the only way is to start the whole game over again. There's no saving.
I mean, early on, before I knew where all the warp whistles were, I'd get to that giant world or, World 5 and the castle in the sky, and I would just spend time, like, marveling at this strange place that I so rarely get to see.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking awesome. And nowadays, you don't really appreciate it because the games aren't the same way they used to be.
Yeah, there's definitely a different vibe. Like, nowadays, you beat a game, and it's like, well, I have finished my 60 hours into this game or whatever. And it's not, I never feel that sense of awe that I used to feel. When I was a kid and I beat Zelda for the first time, I called all my friends and I went crazy nuts. And I was, as a kid, if you saw me, I was just this blur of, oh my God, I beat Zelda.
And Zelda had saving, and it was still crazy. Yeah. I think the other thing you have to notice when talking about game difficulty is not just, it's good when a game tests a skill and then gives you harder challenges of that skill, Oh, we're going to test your reflexes. Okay, for this part, you're going to need faster reflexes than you needed in the previous part. Now you're going to need even faster reflexes.
Or now you're going to react to something that's going to be harder to react to.
Yeah, you're going to have more precise controls or enter a more complicated button combination, or you're going to have to solve a puzzle that has more parts and might take you a longer time to figure out. That's all good. In fact, that's expected. What's not expected is the big no-nos of game difficulty. The number one no-no is arbitrariness.
Now, I don't want to bash Crystal Chronicles because Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles provided to me perhaps my greatest gaming experience ever.
I don't want to go that far, but we had a good time.
I don't know, all told, it's definitely in the top 5 of total gaming experiences. If you take that entire weekend and count it as one experience.
It was a great weekend, and I'll leave it at that.
I don't know, top 5.
It was a weekend to be remembered.
You gotta admit, top 10.
I don't know.
I think so. Anyway, Crystal Chronicles, the game was mad, but we played it in a way that made it awesome.
That's pretty accurate.
However,
I'll agree with that.
Yeah, the game itself wasn't so great. The idea behind it was so solid, though.
Yeah,
carried us through.
Okay, just so people know, when Crystal Chronicles came out, we had 4 people, me, Rim, Pete, and Katsu, and we spent an entire weekend, and we only took breaks for sleeping and eating.
Yeah, and by sleeping, we basically fell asleep at the game and died, and then we slept for like 4 hours, 6 hours, and then we tried to play
all
again.
reconvened and started playing again, and we beat the game from beginning to end in as short a time as we possibly could in one straight go of it with 4 people, 4 Game Boy Advances.
We started early in the morning on Saturday. We played straight.
I thought we played Friday night.
I don't even remember.
I don't remember either.
We started as soon as we could all get off of work and class. We played straight through. We stopped briefly to go to a hockey game that I was so tired from playing this game.
I didn't remember going to that hockey game.
I could barely yell. I was just sitting there like, gotta heal. Life. And Conscious like, Rim, we're not playing. I'm like, oh, but life.
Yeah. Okay. So that's enough of that story.
But
that's why we have a higher opinion of Crystal Chronicles than other people, is because we set up an interesting scenario for ourselves to play it outside of the game.
But and the game was really beautiful, atmospheric, and whatever. But
yeah,
the game had all these side quests. Now here's the problem. 1, I didn't even know the side quests were finishable. The game did not actually let you in on that secret, that you could finish these side quests. 2, they were so arbitrary. It was like, talk to this guy, go back to this village, talk to this guy. But it wasn't like someone would say, you should go back to the village of blah and talk to blah.
Yeah. See, Zelda games, the reason Zelda games are so great and enjoyable is because they completely lack arbitrariness. Some guy will say, take this to error. And you go, hey, there was a guy before, he said, I am error. I'll go give this to error. And you do. Imagine if there was just an item somewhere in the forest. You picked it up, and it was like the rare item, right? And there was a guy in town, and he said, I am error. There's no way to know that you have to give that item to error to get some secret weapon. There's no possible way you can ever know outside of a fact. Yet, if you give that item to error, you get a secret weapon.
Now, luckily,
that is arbitrariness.
There aren't that many games that are that arbitrary, and usually there's some. I mean, a lot of times someone will say something's arbitrary, but it just meant that they actually weren't paying attention to the game. But there are
sometimes.
Yeah, it depends. But Crystal Chronicles, Like, you talk to a girl, like, oh dear, the princess is missing. And I thought, great, I can save the princess. And I talked to him again. He says, oh dear, the princess is missing. And I talked to the next person. Oh no, the princess is missing. And apparently I could have saved the princess, but I had no way of knowing how. And I read game facts and it was just stupid.
I think my favorite example of arbitrariness in video games is Ogre Battle 64.
Oh,
now,
God.
You never played it, but
I knew not to.
I played it a little bit, and my brother owned it, and I don't remember if he ever beat it, but apparently he got the strategy guide at one point, and I looked through it for a bit, and there was a little sidebar about how to get like these most powerful angel paladin characters or whatever, right? And apparently you had to go to this town on a map on a certain date in the year at a certain time. Now, the game had a built-in calendar and clock, and talk to a certain person and give them a certain item. I was like, how the hell are you supposed to know that? There's no way to know that. No one will ever tell. It's impossible to know that without the strategy guide. And while there are very few games that are as arbitrary as that, I have noticed an increasing level of arbitrariness over the years. And I don't know if I want to say there's a conspiracy to sell strategy guides, but there might be a conspiracy to sell strategy guides.
Yeah, I mean, even old games, it wasn't like that. Strategy guides were just this awesome thing that you got after you beat the game just because it was cool.
Yeah, like I got that Mario 3 strategy guide. I didn't even ask for it. I just got it. I don't remember how.
Nintendo Power just gave it to you,
yeah,
probably.
But I don't have Nintendo Power. But
Really?
I don't know. Anyway, I would look at it and I'd go, holy crap, there's all the levels I didn't go to, and there's secrets in the levels. It was just cool to see all the maps.
Yeah, and it also had all this, like, the history of Mario. Here are all the death icon animations from all the different Mario games.
Yeah, it was fun. Now the strategy guides, a lot of games make them sort of necessary. Like, here's where the secret is with the awesome weapon you couldn't possibly ever know about without buying the strategy guide or reading game facts. And that sucks. That's a bad game design right there.
I mean, granted, that's not to totally give a pass to a lot of the old games that weren't arbitrary, but they suffered from video game logic to the degree that, there's hard and there's Nintendo hard. I would say that there's video game logic and there's Nintendo logic.
Yeah, I mean, there are different levels of arbitrariness. I mean, you could be completely arbitrary, like the example I just gave with error, which isn't, but you can be sort of arbitrary. Like there's one guy who gives you a very vague hint at something, but there's no way to know exactly. You could say, well, the guy gave you a hint. Well, yeah, but it wasn't enough of a hint, There's a point at which it's not arbitrary, but it's still unreasonably unknowable without a strategy guide.
I think the line for me, in terms of figuring stuff like that out, the absolute bare end line of arbitrariness is most exemplified in Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, which also happens to be one of my favorite games ever.
Mm-hmm.
That's an unpopular opinion, I know. You can all die in a fire. Castlevania 2 was great. But anyway, the game, to get some things, you have to take Dracula's heart and go to this ass dead end somewhere and kneel down for 5 seconds, and then a whirlwind will appear. You're like, what the fuck? And all sorts of weird stuff like that. And, to get Dracula's body parts, you have to go to these orbs and stab them with stakes that you can buy from scary old dudes. And all that stuff, while it seems really weird and arbitrary, like hit your head on this rock a bunch of times and something will fall out of it, like randomly in one part of the game. If you talk to the people in town, they basically tell you all of this, and you can figure it all out logically if you just pay attention.
Yeah, Xanadu is the same way. There's a lot of weird stuff in that game, but people in town tell you everything you need to know right up until the end.
Yep, it'll be like, go pray at the blah cemetery. And, all right, so I go to that cemetery, and nothing there. So then I kneel down and wait a bit. And then, something happens. Hooray, I'm smarter than a video game.
Yep.
And the other one, Final Fantasy 1, which isn't really arbitrary at all. It's the same idea, though. Near the end of the game, I mean, I know most of you, if you played Final Fantasy 1, either played the GBA one or played it with a FAQ, or with that awesome strategy guide that Nintendo put out that tells you what's in every chest and everything. Final Fantasy 1, at the end of the game, you beat all 4 fiends. Spoilers, by the way. And you got all 4 crystals. And that's supposed to fix the world. The Earth is rotting, and you've solved this. You've got the 4 crystals, like everyone said. You figured out what happened to the Warriors of the Sky. Everything's great. You're done. But the game doesn't end. And you go around and people say things like, how come the world's still shitty? What's going on?
walking around the world in Final Fantasy 1, it's not so shitty, except for the monsters everywhere.
Well, yeah, until you go underground and the world is just like this marsh, poison-filled death cave.
Yeah, but I mean, most of the towns, the big towns on the surface, they're nice. Even
Well,
when
let's see what's going on. Leffine, well, we know the story of what happened to them.
the pirate town's nice, except for the pirates.
Yeah,
which,
and you
which is
saw-
actually the pirates make it nicer.
Yeah, it was shitty, and you saved that town. And, God, there's that other town,
It wasn't
Melman's.
shitty. The pirates were making it nice. You make it worse when you get rid of the pirates.
Yeah.
All right.
All the buildings are hollowed out and empty. There's crowd.
That's just because you can see through the roof.
Also, because there aren't any shops you can go into in those buildings. They're just empty, but yeah, you can walk into them.
Yeah. All right.
But you go to Melmond, and it's been totally destroyed by that vampire, and bad stuff. So you've fixed it. You've got all the orbs, and the rot is still happening. All the world is still decaying, and you're like, what do I do now? And no one can tell you. Well, if you'd paid attention in the game, and you put all the clues together, and there's so many clues all over the place that point to the actual plot. And the thing is, it's not exactly obvious if you didn't read a strategy guide. And I remember when I was playing Final Fantasy 1 and I wasn't sure where to go. And I'm wandering around. And eventually I go back up into the Sky Tower just to loot it. And I go back to that window. Because in the Sky Tower, there's this window and you can look down from space basically and see the Earth. And I look down and I actually read that flavor text. And it says something along the lines of blah, 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 the swirling vortices of the forces of the world. You almost get the sense that they're converging at the center of their being, or something like that. So then I'm thinking, So I cast the spell I learned, push B select to get the world map, and I'm looking at it, and I noticed something interesting. The 4 temples where the 4 evil things were, and where the 4 orbs were, are in a perfect square. And exactly at the center of that square is the Temple of fucking Fiends from the very first part of the game.
Yep.
So I march my ass over there, and that's where everything happens.
Yep.
And that wasn't arbitrary at all. That was just awesomely difficult, and it required paying attention and, all the stuff that I like in an RPG.
Yeah. But, there is another kind of difficulty that sucks besides just arbitrariness, and I guess it's sort of related, is unreasonable difficulty.
Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Silver Surfer.
Yeah, Silver Surfer.
Friday the 13th.
It's not arbitrary. It's a game of, reflexes and moving the Silver Surfer. It's a shoot 'em up, a side-scrolling and also up-scrolling shoot 'em up. The thing is, you die in one hit. Also, the Silver Surfer is slow and he does not shoot rapidly. Bad guys are hard to kill. Even slightly grazing any part of the map, any terrain, anything solid will kill you instantly. You don't have that many lives. There's no continues. In order to beat it, the game is beatable. The thing is, in order to beat any of it, your level of skill has to be so ludicrously high.
Yeah, I mean,
that it's essentially
you need to understand.
impossible.
If say you just played this game, I remember every time I decided, you know what, I'm going to be a badass and I'm going to beat the Silver Surfer. And I sat down and I started playing and I died in 8 seconds. I tried again, died in 8 seconds. Tried again. I made it like 3 more seconds. I tried again. I died in 4 seconds because I wasn't paying attention. It's just, there's no fucking way. That game was marketed at me when I was, that age when it came out. I was like 12. That game, a 12-year-old can't beat that game.
Yeah. I mean, it's not arbitrary. It's not like there is some fact that can provide you with some information that you didn't know, and suddenly the whole game is easy. Or, oh, that's how it's done. If I only would have known that piece of information, there was no way I could have known, the game is beatable. No, you just need to have a level of reflexes and memorization of where everything is in the game that is beyond any. It's just not, there's no point. It's not worth it.
I've never met a human being who can beat Silver Surfer.
I remember when I was a kid, the kid down the street actually had the game, and I think he could beat a few levels, maybe. But that's about it. And I'm sure if I saved and loaded with an emulator, I could get pretty far. The problem is, I might accidentally save, and then in a spot where I'm dead no matter what. So I'd have to do it like segment by segment.
I did that once.
I'd only be able to save in a situation where I'm guaranteed not to die within 2 seconds.
I decided to beat Castlevania 2 just while I was bored one day, back when I was living alone in the mountains. So I just had one save slot in the emulator, and I just, saved the state whenever I wanted to take a break.
So you saved it when you're about to fall into a pit, and then every time you loaded, you fell in a pit?
Well, I was walking, and then I was cooking some dinner, and I was just, running around fighting, and I heard the thing go off for food. So I just turn and hit F5, save my state, and I walk over to get my food. And I walk back over to the game, and I see that my character is dead. I think, okay, whatever, he probably got pushed off the ledge. I hit F7 to restore my state, and there's a fireball right there, about to hit me, and it hits me and knocks me in, and I die, and it was my last life. I determined empirically that there was no way out of that situation.
Suck.
I sucked it up. I had to continue.
I guess there's one other kind of difficulty I'll just touch on quickly, and that's not the difficulty of skill, but the difficulty of effort. For example, World of Warcraft, where it's not hard. Anyone can do it.
But that's not effort. That's just time.
It is. That time is effort. You have to work. It's not hard work.
No, because if it was just effort, if you put more effort in per unit time, you would get more reward. But the cap on the amount of effort you can put into any MMO versus the relevant reward, the cap is real low. It's like super compressed audio.
Well, there was that guy. He did it more quickly than anyone else. So I imagine, with some arbitrary knowledge that you could learn from the internet and with some effort and concentration, you could do it faster. But you can do it just by spending time. It's not a matter of skill.
I don't know if we ever really point here. I mean,
yeah.
New games are in a lot of ways better than old games, and in some ways they lack things old games had. I don't know what direction gaming should go in. On one hand, I'm disappointed at how easy a lot of games are these days, and how I just don't feel like I can fail. And no matter how badly I do, eventually I'll always just plug ahead and win. And people always go, well, the game is 60 hours. And at the same time, I really don't miss the days of dying in the second level of Contra 9 times in a row and then finally getting to the third stage.
Yeah,
without the code.
I'm not sure where I stand. It's like I like a game to not be stupidly easy. I like a game to test certain skills, and I don't like games that test other certain skills. Arbitrariness really pisses me off. If a game is unreasonably difficult, it's not worth my time to play. And what Rim just said, if a game is, old games, I kind of liked how they were hard, and new games, sometimes I'm kind of sad that I beat it and then it's over so soon, but if I play an old game these days, I just get really frustrated because it's just so intolerable.
Well, it depends on the game, and here's a point that I just thought of and I realize is kind of relevant. It's germane to the discussion.
Bionic Commando?
Not just Bionic Commando, but I think back to all the games, the old school games that I love, the ones that I just love to death.
Kaboom?
Yeah, all those games. Kaboom, Bionic Commando, Zelda 2, whatever. And I remember as a kid, all the wonder, because I had infinite free time. I was a kid. Playing Zelda 2, spending the crazy amount of time and effort it took to get good enough to even think about trying to get that hammer. And the amazing sense of accomplishment I felt when I got that hammer. And when I play the game now today, I still have that skill. So when I play Zelda 2, it doesn't seem as hard as it originally was. Or when I play Bionic Commando, it doesn't seem like it's that bad. Because I forget the fact that I spent probably 2 or 3 years of my life becoming the grand master of these games. So I get all the benefit of spending that time as a child, and all the wonder comes back through nostalgia. I also get to enjoy the game on a higher level because I'm good enough at it to enjoy it on that level. But at the same time, no one new to this game is going to be able to enjoy it in any of those capacities except the capacity of childish wonder. And little kids today, I mean, I guess a 6-year-old today or an 8-year-old would probably love Zelda 2 if you gave him the time to play it, and I guess you explained to him that it was good. I mean, I don't know if he'd be distracted by fancy new games, but I think we tend to have a glowing perspective on old games, as good as they were, just for the fact that we're good at them, so it doesn't seem as hard as it really is.
Maybe that's part of it.
I mean, find anyone who's never played Bionic Commando before and let him beat even one level within, 45 minutes.
Yeah, I definitely have a feeling that the sense of wonder has been lost over time for me. Like, I beat Twilight Princess, a few weeks ago, and that wonder really wasn't the same as the wonder I can recall the wonder from Zelda 1, and I can recall the feeling, but I can't get it. It's the same feeling, but it's not the same intensity that was when it was actually happening.
Well, part of it was there weren't distractions, and you could play whenever you wanted.
Yeah, and now, Twilight Princess, I beat it, but at no time did I have the same feelings that I had when I played Zelda 1.
See, now the thing is, I don't know, because while I don't have the same feelings, maybe just because I'm not as jaded as you, but playing Twilight Princess, I get an equivalently powerful feeling of wonder. It's not the same feeling. It's not that feeling of, like, almost frightened awe that I'd get in, like, Zelda 2.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about.
Here's the problem. That feeling, I think, came partly out of the fact that as a child, I didn't really understand how video games worked.
Maybe.
And I never thought, like, oh, you dump the ROM and you can figure out what's behind that block. I'd come to a dead end, and I'd wonder to myself, seriously, I wonder what's back there. And I'd throw holy water at the wall, hoping that maybe I can get back there.
That is true.
In
that's very
Metroid,
true.
I'd bomb down. Remember that one spot in Metroid in the bubbly area where you could bomb down for like 2 screens? At the bottom was just a dead end.
Yep.
It was just kind of like a glitchy area. You could just go down there. I was obsessed with that area. I was sure there was something down there. And even when I didn't find anything, I was just it was like exploring new territory. I was an explorer. And now I can't get that sense of wonder because I know exactly how video games work on a low level.
I read something really interesting a long time ago how about video games like demystified the television. And it's all about once you know what's really going on, all the mystification of it is gone and you totally can't be wowed or, sort of deceived or tricked or amazed by it anymore.
I mean, Zelda...
It's sort of like if someone shows you how the magic trick is done, or someone shows you how like a really cool set piece in a play works. Now when you go see it, you just go, instead of going, whoa.
See, now there's where video games can go because I think Penn and Teller have the right idea. You do magic trick, right? If you show how David Copperfield does his trick, it's not interesting anymore. But Penn and Teller, sometimes they'll show you how they do the trick a bunch of times, and then they'll do the trick, and you'll still be amazed because it's not, oh, I know how they did that. It's, wow, they actually did that.
Yeah.
I think there's a way, because I think video games as a whole are better than they used to be, a lot better. But they're better in different ways. And I think the things that they've lost can be made up for with equivalently good but different things.
I think the way to go is, there's a lot of different courses of game design that people are taking, in different directions. And I think we just need... I don't know. I don't think we need some completely new game design because every time someone tries to do that, it's really hit or miss. You either get like a one-hit wonder, like a Katamari,
yep,
or you get a crap nothing game that's completely useless.
I want to know, we should somehow figure out exactly what it was that caused that frightened sense of wonder we would have as kids playing video games that I get glimpses of every now and then in new games. Like even in Twilight Princess. When I turned into a wolf, spoilers, and went to that other world, for a second I felt this twinge of, wow, what's this? And it went away like that. I don't know if it's just because I'm an adult, or because I'm now immune to it, or because I know that some guy sat there coding this game, and someone did the art, and then they compiled it and put it on a disc and shipped it to me.
Yeah. The only games that really... kind of get me now are like the Half-Life 2s. I think those are the most recent games to really kind of grab me with the whole immersion thing where I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, well, Twilight Princess really is grabbing me. And whenever I sit down to play it, I really, really, really get immersed. And I really, 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 really like it. Of course, that might be that I didn't play much of Ocarina of Time.
That's what I was saying.
But the thing is, I tried...
Ocarina of Time actually did it a lot for me. Now, way back when in high school days.
Even every time I tried to play Ocarina of Time, it just wasn't polished enough, and I just didn't like it.
You're screwed up because everyone will tell you Ocarina of Time is the greatest, and it is. I think it's better than Twilight Princess, for sure.
Actually, if you say everyone, we just had this discussion 2 weeks ago, and
people are crazy.
And I believe multiple of us, other than just me, expressed the same opinion. The Twilight Princess is generally a more polished game.
Yeah, polished. Yeah, so if you it doesn't make a difference. It's still not as good as Ocarina of Time.
I think it's better so far.
Oh, what do you know? You didn't play Ocarina of Time.
I've still played more Ocarina of Time than I have played of Twilight Princess.
What do you know?
I know what I played, and I know what I like.
That's the forum. What's the Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess? What's better?
All right, we'll ask him. Because so far, everyone we've talked to has agreed with me. Not saying
all you people who haven't played Ocarina of Time.
No, a lot of us have played. I mean, it's a good game. It's just Twilight Princess feels more solid to me, and I get more of a sense of wonder from it.
I had the exact opposite.
Well, you're just generally a jaded prick anyway. What do you know? You're jaded about every video game.
Anyway,
I mean, what do you
got anything else to say?
No, not really, because I have to bitch a lot about video games.
Yep, we like to bitch a lot about video games.
Well, no, particularly you.
Yeah, because the thing I bitch about most in video games...
Everything. Any game you're playing, you sit there like, this game sucks. What the fuck? This is
Well,
crap.
no, because the problem is if a game sucks completely, right, I don't even bother playing it because it's so bad. My problem is that I'll play a game that has so much promise and has so many elements of fun and gets just a few things wrong that are constantly irking me. It's like, imagine if you were eating this great apple pie, right, and then someone came and shook like some nasty spice on it or something, and it's like, this is such a great pie, and you put this thing, it irritates me even more than just a bad game. Because if a game is completely bad, don't need to play it. If a game is so close to perfect, yet there's something constantly annoying you, it's like, oh my god, I really want this part, but I can't get rid of that part. And
See, now here's the problem, because I can't name a game in the last, 4 years, other than Phoenix Wright, you didn't constantly bitch about it while you played it. Whether anyone
because so
was
many
in the room
games
or
are
not.
far from perfect.
Name a game, then. It seems like you can't even enjoy games anymore.
I can.
Are you actually enjoying Portrait of Ruin, or are you just beating it so that you can be done with it?
See, I really like walking around and hitting guys and exploring areas and fighting bosses and, all that sort of stuff.
But are you enjoying the game as a whole?
I'm enjoying it more than some other games.
Like what?
Like, let's see, what's worse? More than Princess Peach.
Yeah, Princess Peach was okay until I got to the end. And...
I just stopped playing Princess Peach in the middle.
No, because actually later levels are really good and not hard, hard, but they're fun. The problem was the game made me go back and do some bullshit, and I just gave up at that point.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It just has some things that constantly annoy me, and if they only changed them, the game could be awesome, which is why I appear more pissed off. It's like my level of pissed offness is not directly related to the goodness of the game. I'll be more pissed off at games that are 99% good than at games that are 50% good.
I can agree with that, at least on WarioWare.
Yeah, it's
so
like
close.
A game will be 99% good and 1% bad, and I will bitch forever about that 1% bad because it could have been 100% good, it would have been the best game ever, and that lack of potential pisses me off. Whereas a 50% good game, I don't even play it, so it doesn't bother me.
Anyway, since we, as always, have gone a little bit long,
Woohoo!
In conclusion, Twilight Princess is better than Ocarina of Time. This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Odeo. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.